Hello and welcome to CTV News Across Canada for Friday, November 28th. We've got the top local stories from coast to coast, stories that affect you and the country. Thanks for joining us.
The Prime Minister and Alberta's Premier were all smiles, giddy as they inked a deal paving the way for a new pipeline from Alberta to BC's coast.
This agreement includes a clear path to the construction of an over 1 million barrel per day Indigenous co-owned bitumen pipeline to Asian markets.
One province over, backstopped by much of his caucus, Premier Eby repeated his months-long pushback to the plan.
We need to make sure that this project doesn't become an energy vampire with all of the variables that have yet to be fulfilled. No proponent, no route, no money, no First Nation support.
If all goes smoothly, construction could start as soon as 2029. But there's several sticking points, most notably,
if there's not a private sector proponent, there won't be a pipeline.
There are various other conditions in the Memorandum of Understanding that, if met, carve out exemptions to the tanker ban. They include Indigenous co-ownership, consultation, and support. Coastal First Nations maintain it will oppose the plan with every tool it has, including possible court challenges.
We will never allow oil tankers in our coastal waters because an oil spill could destroy our way of life.
You know, the bribes that are being brought forward by Carney and Smith et al. Are meaningless.
Carney says the deal also calls for BC's support and significant economic benefits for the province. Premier Eby, excluded from the negotiations, unleashed his frustration that it puts other energy plans in jeopardy and distracted from projects such as a Saskatchewan-owned potash plant that went to Washington State, not BC.
Really pissed me off that we lost the nutrient deal, because I think that was entirely avoidable.
Although a poll released Thursday shows a majority of British Columbians support a new pipeline, the Premier maintains First Nation support is key.
I will always defend BC's interests, and defending BC's interests includes defending the oil tanker ban.
The deal, one that's pitting neighboring provinces against each other, calls for an application to the major province's office by Canada Day.
And Rob joins us live from Victoria. And Rob, this deal is already having political fallout in Ottawa.
Well, that's right, Mi Jung. We saw today, hours after the announcement, of former Environment Minister Stephen Guilbeault, who's in cabinet as a culture minister, resigned his cabinet post. In protest to this, he's been very outspoken in his opposition to this pipeline. That may be the first of other such moves. I know locally here, the BC Greens, I asked them today what they would do if the NDP ultimately acquiesced and somehow this deal did go ahead or get agreed to, and they said it would be very difficult for them to keep their agreement with the NDP if there was an oil pipeline that went ahead under their watch. So expect a lot more ramifications as this thing moves forward. Mi Jung.
Yep, we'll be watching for any more political fallout. Thank you, Rob.
The minister responsible for secularism, Jean-François Roberge, wants to strengthen secularism rules in Quebec.
Because we think that when the state is neutral, Quebecers are free.
Earlier this week, Roberge posted a video on social media hinting at the changes. And today, he tabled Bill 9, an act respecting the reinforcement of laïcité in Quebec. It's a 20-page document, and it comes with major changes. Among them, a ban on full face coverings for all students and staff in public education settings, and a gradual end of public funding for private religious schools that select students based on their faith. Bill 9 is the latest chapter following Quebec's 2019 secularism law, known as Bill 21.
I thought about it right after the first bill, the Bill 21, saying, well, was it enough?
For the minister, it wasn't. That's why he wants to go further. With this new bill, Roberge is banning prayers in public institutions, including CEGEPs and universities, as well as in public outdoor spaces, unless a city signs off.
We saw people blocking street, pray in the street, pray in front of La Cathédrale.
Opposition parties reacted to the new bill.
I don't remember seeing significant numbers of people praying in the streets of Tadoussac or La Malbaie or Bécomo. So is it really an issue?
Quebec Solidaire says the bill is a diversion.
This concept is used to actually make us see elsewhere than all the fiascos, all the terrible politics of this government regarding education and housing, etc., etc.
But the PQ seems on board.
I think social peace will be better served by putting limits to what religion can dictate to others, because that's the topic.
The bill also allows for the preventive use of the notwithstanding clause, meaning it could be protected from court challenges under the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms if Bill 9 becomes law. Sweeta Rassi, CTV News, Quebec City.
After months of calling speed cameras municipal cash grabs, the province shut the program down on November 14th.
What we are seeing is that drivers, as soon as those cameras were turned off, the drivers, in terms of driving 11 kilometers an hour or over, has doubled.
But according to Brampton Regional Councillor Rowena Santos, city data is clear. In the 3 weeks before the Premier put the brakes on the program, the cameras were capturing about 30,000 speeders a week. The week they were shut down, from November 9th to November 15th, that number rose slightly, with 31,581 vehicles traveling 11 kilometers per hour over the limit. The number skyrocketing the following week to 71,258.
People are now driving well beyond the speed limit based on the cameras now being off.
In fact, Santos says the city of Brampton had 185 cameras, almost all, or 183, situated in school zones.
I think they need to put speeding cameras
back.
Yes.
I personally don't drive at nighttime anymore because of being scared of the roads. Right, because people go through red lights around here. They just don't obey the rules.
I'm not surprised that the speed has gone up 70%, considering we have zero enforcement on the roads. I can't tell you the last time I saw a police officer doing any sort of speed enforcement around here.
While the province has earmarked $210 million for replacement deterrents, namely speed bumps, roundabouts, and large-scale signs, those steps are being ridiculed. Both Ottawa and Toronto saying the traffic calming signs are too big to fit the poles they have. Meanwhile, Councillor Santos says there's a larger safety concern, literally.
They could cause blind spots. Kids, you wouldn't be able to see them behind these very large signs. Drivers wouldn't be able to see them if they're backing out of their driveway next to a school, for example. And on windy days like today, these signs could just fall off and hit a car, hit a person.
The province fired back today, however, saying the only thing that's ridiculous is the municipality's claims about the signs.
If they need help putting up a large sign, even though they've done it 10 million times, we will have a team out there and I'll say, this is how you put up a big sign. It's a joke, actually. I can't believe it. It's just another tactic.
Still, many local politicians say they can't race to install traffic calming measures, saying even if they try to speed the process up, some steps can take years. Regional Councillor Santos says there are 151 former speed zone sites that now have no safety measures at all, pointing out one area in particular, Kennedy Notre Dame, saying that speeding increased in that area by 70%. Reporting live from Janice Golding, now back to Natalie.
Okay, thank you, Janice.
This video, captured in Cambridge, shows a crime that's becoming all too familiar. Someone breaking onto a property, stealing copper and other valuable materials.
They'll take anything that's worth something. So that would be the copper coils and the condenser coils. That would be any other wiring that has value. They take the units apart, the rooftop heating, ventilation, air conditioning units, and then they make off with the parts, and they sell that.
Each theft can cost property and business owners a total of tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars.
The magnitude we're talking about is there may be $20, $50, $100 worth of metals that come out of these when they're sold at the scrap dealer or sold to a scrap dealer. The results would be to the point where we are, if we have to replace the unit, spending $40,000, $50,000, not including install, to replace the unit. So it is a very disproportionate problem.
Earlier this month, Waterloo Regional Police say 6 rooftop AC units were dismantled on a building on Connaught Street in Kitchener to be stripped of copper, while a similar crime targeted a building on Riverbend Drive in Kitchener just this week. But the crime isn't new. In Waterloo Region, police say it's been getting worse.
What we're starting to see now is an increase in commercial damage and wire thefts being from those properties.
Already this year, officers have been called to 64 cases where the thefts have been valued at more than $5,000 and another 166 valued under $5,000. A problem that has more people looking to avoid becoming victims. As copper wire and other metal thefts continue to be on the rise, organizations like O'Brien's Fabrications in Guelph continue to see more clients seeking preventative measures. That includes taking steps to cover up the components being targeted and keep thieves away.
Make shrouds, cover those gas lines so nobody can scale up those physically. And then we're coming up with a prototype for the access ladders, where it's a simple, we make it in the shop, come to the site and revamp your access ladder with locks and bars and stuff.
That's what the team at Primus Property Management is doing on this building in Kitchener, adding covers like this along gas lines on exterior walls.
We removed anything that allowed someone to get onto a roof easily, and whether that's removing exterior ladders and internalizing them, or covering gas lines like this. Gas lines are easily scaled, so we've gone around and we've introduced all these types of measures at expense to prevent that. The burden comes back to the property owner or the tenant. In many cases, they share the responsibility for these costs, and it becomes a very large dollar amount that's unfortunately burdened by everyone.
But hopefully an investment that will pay off in the fight to avoid falling victim to some very costly crimes. Ashley Bacon, CTV News, Kitchener.
I'm gonna shop some materials for the renovation.
Mel Tejero made it to Canadian Tire, but crawling through this Coventry Road traffic jam was a job in of itself.
It's not the first time.
But it is for Albert Blacksmith.
From Swampy, way up north.
Here for Christmas shopping, only to be wrapped up in delays, and this weekend expect more snarled traffic. Starting 9 p.m. Friday until Monday at 6 a.m., the westbound 417 between Vanier and Lees will be reduced to one lane. The Vanier on-ramp will also be closed as the city repairs a water main.
Oh boy. Now you have to go the other way around.
Marked detours will guide motorists to the westbound on-ramp at St. Laurent, but many say it's going to be a slow go.
That's a little crazy. I mean, there's a lot of traffic right now, and it's taking a lot of time to get from point A to point B.
Now, there could be some relief along the Queensway, the Lion Street, and Parkdale westbound on-ramps open Friday. And by Sunday, the Bronson Avenue Queensway East exit does too.
Yeah.
Tejero, a Vanier resident, has already planned his weekend route.
We just go around in the neighboring street in the downtown.
Because when it comes to driving along the Queensway this weekend...
Probably no.
Probably a good choice. And construction continues to squeeze the westbound Queensway down to 3 lanes between Kent and Parkdale, with no end date in sight. Patricia.
And probably not great biking weather either, so maybe hibernate on the couch this weekend if you can. Thanks for this, Tyler.
H5N1, described as a highly pathogenic avian flu, has been identified on 3 commercial properties, concentrated southwest of Strathroy, with the security zone highlighted in deep red. The first infection was identified on the 14th, with subsequent infections on the 22nd and on Wednesday. Canadian Food Inspection Agency officials have established a primary control zone around the region to prevent the spread of the virus. In that restricted area, a permit is needed to move birds, their products, and any byproducts. Infected birds will be culled, and the properties will be monitored for any further infections. A cull of ostriches in British Columbia sparked heated debate over whether the birds needed to be killed or if controlled monitoring could have been used. CFIA officials say birds can have the disease without immediately showing signs, and the cull was needed to prevent further spread through contact with migratory birds. The CFIA says the common source of spread in our region is through those migratory birds, which is why we see outbreaks in the spring and fall. Human infection with avian influenza viruses is rare and usually occurs after close contact with infected birds or highly contaminated environments. The CFIA isn't disclosing the exact location of the local infections. In Strathroy-Caradoc, Jerry DeWan, CTV News.
Empty shelves will soon be filled again with American bottles. With $14 million worth of U.S. alcohol sitting in storage, the Nova Scotia government has decided to sell.
There's no profit to be had for the province of Nova Scotia in selling this at this point in time. This is like, we want to get rid of it.
The net profit will be going to Feed Nova Scotia and other community food organizations, a total that could reach $4 million.
Well, I think it makes sense.
Nova Scotia yanked everything from the States in early March. The move came in response to tariffs levied by President Donald Trump. Premier Tim Houston says with talks ongoing between the two countries, selling the American alcohol could be seen as a gesture of goodwill.
The booze issue turns out is a pretty thorny issue at that table. It matters to a lot of Americans and American companies.
Earlier this month, New Brunswick also announced they would be selling off their American alcohol. U.S. booze will be back on the shelves here in Nova Scotia starting on Monday.
The majority of our U.S. products that we have are mainly whiskey, bourbon, and U.S. wine products.
Getting those items back on shelves could take a bit of time.
As we have product all across the province, some stores have it at their locations, while other stores, due to capacity and storage, had to ship it back to our distribution center. And so they are waiting for their product to come back to them.
Once the existing American booze is gone, there are no plans to bring any more in. That's a decision for the province to make. And Todd Tara McKinnon says the NSLC has about 600,000 bottles of alcohol to be redistributed, and that will take time. She asks that any customers who have specific requests maybe call ahead to see if that item is actually back on the shelves. Todd.
Probably a pretty good idea. We'll see if there's lineups Monday morning. Thanks, John, at the liquor store.
Another renewable energy source could soon be coming to the forefront in Canada. Near the beginning of November, Max Power Mining Corporation successfully drilled Canada's first dedicated natural hydrogen well near Central Butte. The company's incoming CEO says energy is like a buffet, with every sector playing its part.
You need nuclear, you need coal, you need gas, you need hydro, you need wind. If you look at recently, the power consumption is getting higher and higher. It's not lower. By 2050, the world population is going to be 9 billion people.
Steve Halliburra, the chief geoscientist with Max Power, has been an exploratory geologist for over 40 years. Part of what drew him to the company was a new resource to learn about.
Part of it is the intellectual challenge. It's a bit like a chess game. Exploration is a process. The Earth does not give up its resources easily.
Halliburra admits that there will be challenges as natural hydrogen is new territory for the Max Power team, but he is looking forward to that challenge.
It's a way of giving back to the province. If I can play some role in developing a new resource industry, then man, I can't think of anything better to give back to the province.
Narayana Sami says the use of natural hydrogen to supply data centers could save a large amount of energy and water.
Imagine if we can able to find a natural hydrogen and we use the natural hydrogen for supplying to the data centers, which is empowered by artificial intelligence. It's going to be a big win for all of us.
According to Halliburra, the Max Power team has at least 6 concept sites to test for natural hydrogen in the near future. Jacob Carr, CTV News, Regina.
Greater Sudbury Deputy Chief Paul Cadwell says, like several paramedic services across Ontario, there are staffing challenges due to the impacts of the profession. He points to a study by the Ontario Association of Paramedic Chiefs.
Did a study across the province to get a sense of how many paramedics were off due to occupational stress injuries, and that number came back with on average 1 out of 10 paramedics are off due to occupational stress injuries, and that aligns with what we're seeing within our paramedic service here.
Cadwell says there are various reasons for these occupational stress injuries.
Well, it could be anything from the types of calls that they're experiencing, also just their workload that they've also experienced.
Within the service, there are currently 10 staff enrolled in the Advanced Paramedic Program at Collège Boreal.
One of the issues that we have in our service is the advanced care paramedic level. Over the past 5 years, we've seen a decrease of 18%. We have competing priorities with other agencies such as Orange and neighboring municipalities.
Greater Sudbury Paramedic Services says it attends job fairs for recruitment and is working on improving wellness for employees over the long term.
We currently have within our service, we're piloting a wellness coordinator position, which we have seen great benefits. And during the 2026 budget process, we are bringing a business case together to make that position permanent.
The service says despite 20 paramedics being off, it is fully staffed with a total of 190 part and full-time community, primary, and advanced care paramedics. The service area they cover is 3,200 square kilometers, with an average of 32,000 calls a year. Alana Everson, CTV News, Azilda.
It's been a frustrating past few days for Ross Norton and the staff at the Alberta Northern Lights Wheelchair Basketball Society.
I was contacted by the school on Monday morning. They expected the chairs to be there, and they were wondering where it was, and I realized that the trailer was stolen at that point.
The Society's trailer was parked outside Memorial Composite High School in Stony Plain. Inside are 15 specialized wheelchairs.
These chairs get used by the schools all over northern and central Alberta in their phys ed classes, and students get a chance to play wheelchair basketball.
It's believed the trailer was stolen around 6 o'clock Sunday morning. Surveillance footage shows at least 2 people hitching the trailer to a truck and driving off.
They were older chairs, so the actual value is low, but to replace them, they're about $7,000 a piece, so about over $100,000 replacement value.
He's asking for the public to keep an eye out for the trailer with the Society's logo on the side. The first truck is described as either a gray Ford Super Duty or a Chevrolet Silverado, and a red truck, possibly a Ford Super Duty.
If anyone's seen or heard anything, if they've encountered any ditched wheelchairs on the side of the road or in a field somewhere, they're more than welcome to come to the detachment and report it there.
Norton says he'll now have to equip his trailers with GPS, another cost to incur.
There might be a time when we just have to close it down because we can't secure our equipment anymore. That's very frustrating. That would be devastating for us.
He's asking for anyone with information to report it to police. Naranisa, CTV News, Edmonton.
Shyla Brandt receives $1,901 a month in AISH benefits, but like all 79,000 AISH recipients, she'll be transitioned to ADAP. It will have lower benefits. She'll be able to apply to get back on AISH, but there's no guarantee she'll be accepted, and if her benefits get cut, she'll have to give up her apartment.
I'm screwed. I'd be on the street. My food's already gone, my cable, my internet's already gone. My transportation's already gone. They wouldn't leave really much of anything.
Right now, about 16% of AISH recipients work. Minister of Assisted Living Jason Nixon thinks that should change.
AISH was not built to support those who are able to earn a paycheck. AISH, like disability programs across the country, penalizes people for getting a job.
Economists who've studied the changes say many people will see benefits drop after being deemed able to work because they'll be unable to find any work.
But a large part of this issue is going to be, are there jobs available that have the correct assists or accommodations for people?
I would love to be working. Yeah.
AISH recipient Larissa Armstrong has tried to find a job, but says in a market where healthy 23-year-olds are having trouble finding work, a middle-aged AISH recipient has little chance.
They're saying we've listened to AISH recipients, we've listened to these people. They want more work, they want more supports for work. Yes, we want all that, but not at the price of cutting our benefits.
Nixon says Alberta pays the highest benefits in Canada to its disabled citizens, and the new rules won't change that.
Making Alberta a leader in disability supports, inclusion, and employment.
Bill 12 does not set down criteria determining who the government thinks is able to work, but it does take away a disabled person's ability to appeal a decision once it's made. Kevin Green, CTV News, Calgary.